when you can't keep your company, your own company just yet, but you have a lot of things bubbling inside you. You want to share what lives inside you with others. And this is what Rumi says, that should you have an experience that is intense, that is profound, it makes your mind and your emotions pregnant. You want to give labor. You want to find someone and speak to their ears. You will call Bob or John or Mike. You will go to outings because you assume that these are your friends. And Rumi says you will sit with anyone. You will invite anybody to your table. And you tell them, I have food. Come to my house. Let me feed you. Man be har jamiyati nalan shudam. Okay? Like the reed flute, I will sing for you. Joft khoshhalan o badhalan shudam. Khoshhal means, it means happy. But the sort of happy that Rumi talks about is you have come to a place where you accept the fact that you have cancer. 4th stage. You know you're going to die. And for the first time, you have understood the real meaning and value of time. You have understood what regret really feels like. Not conceptually, not abstractly. You lay on your deathbed. For the first time you understand the value of being able to speak without pain. How pain creates paralysis of body, mind, and thought and emotions. You really, really understand. Khoshhal means someone who is in despair, who is suffering, who makes countless sacrifices every single moment. Their life is miserable. And yet in that misery, there is wisdom. In that wisdom, there is joy. If you've seen that image that the Greeks have given us, Atlas, that he is carrying the world on his shoulder, he is bent, his back is bent, his knees are a little broken. But look at his face. It is calm. He understands the burdens of the world and he refuses to put it down. And though his body suffers the weight of the world, no different than Jesus Christ, he carries it with a great amount of dignity and honor. Okay? Badhal means someone who's even not interested in any of this stuff. When you're a young teacher, you have this fantasy in your head, and it's a great fantasy to have. You walk into a classroom, and it's your first day of school, teaching your class, and you say, I am going to walk into my class and reach everyone. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The intelligent, the not so intelligent, the stupid, the competent, the incompetent. I have that power. And that's what Rumi says. Khoshhal o badhal. Those who know and those who don't. I am in such a miserable shape that whatever ears come my way, I will exploit. I will tell them. And here's what they find, what he finds. Har kasi az zann khod shud yar man. That people listen with the ears of their head. Both the intelligent and the stupid. And what is the ears of the head? Personal history, assumptions, the nonsense you read and memorize from books. As Nietzsche would say, the garbage given to you by your culture, by your tradition. Ears of the head means you have become a great camel. هر کسی از زن خود شد یار من. Everybody assumed that just because I am shouting and ranting, they understand my passion. But now, وز درون من نجست اسرار من. If you really, really, really want to understand the lament, the sorrows, the brokenness of the reed flute, become the reed. That's the secret that lives inside me. The only way to understand the laments, fall from grace. Know that you have fallen. Come to a stage in your life where you desire to go back, only to realize you can't. You will learn how to cry. You will learn how to weep. You will learn how to scream. You will learn what maturity is, how to suffer in silence. You will learn all of them. And those are the secrets that live inside me. That's the only ear that's valuable for me. Ears that have been experienced, seasoned through hardship. And then should someone say, I am willing to have the brokenness of the reed, this is the warning that Rumi gives them. آتش است این بانگ نای و آتش است این بانگ نای و نیست باد. آتش است این بانگ نای و نیست باد. هر که این آتش ندارد نیست باد. You may just hear this breathing, this air coming out of the reed flute. It's not just air that you're hearing. Inside the tone, inside the melody, inside the noise that is made out of the reed flute lives fire, lives anguish, lives frustration, lives sorrow. Don't just sit there and say, this music is beautiful. There is nothing beautiful in this music. In its tone lives brokenness. How could brokenness be beautiful to your ears? Unless you know how to become broken by the things that you hear. And you enjoy weeping, enjoy feeling orphaned. نی حدیث راه پرخون می کند قصه های عشق مجنون می کند. Nay, what is it that this reed flute is telling us? It's a story about a path towards wisdom, a path towards home, a path towards understanding. But what you need to know about this path, go back to the story I shared with you about Nietzsche and the madman. There are pieces I didn't tell you, where the madman looks at the crowd and says, we have killed God, you and I. Look at your hands. It's red. Do you know why? It's the blood of God. Go to the cemetery. There is a scent there. And it's not a good scent. It's unpleasant. It's God's body. It's decomposing. It's rotting. Next time you turn on the TV and you hear another mass shooting, another suicide, another one being depressed, it's decomposition of faith, decomposition of reflectiveness, decomposition of a culture that is no longer healthy. And what Rumi says, if you want to be on this path, listen to the reed. It's the path that will break you. And in brokenness, you will bleed. You will weep. You will be profoundly alone and in despair. قصه های عشق مجنون می کند. Majnun is a lover. And when you are a lover, you have no rest. You're always fasting. And why do you fast? You keep thinking about the person you love. It won't leave you alone. You are incomplete, insufficient without your lover. Don't call yourself a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist or a Taoist or a Jew. Because the founders of these traditions, or the vehicles through whom these traditions came to be, they were the reed flutes. The Bible is not simply ink on paper. Tao Te Ching is not ink on paper. They are the stories of Lao Tzu coming to realize that he is a fallen creature. He wants to go back home. Don't read these books to go to a class and give a lecture or to write an essay. These books are there to make you empty so you could be on this path. The books are there to make you into a lover on a path that has nothing but blood and sweat and suffering. مرهم این گوش جز بیهوش نیست. The only ears who will truly hear the story of the reed, the story of this path, the story of Majnun, or this lover who is on a quest towards wisdom or God or unity. Is someone who lives out of his or her mind that they are as crazy as the lover is. That their life is as unstable, as ungrounded, that they are empty from within. Let me skip a couple of lines and go to the last line. Let me remember it first. So the last line, I can't remember the Persian, so I'll just give it to you in English. People fall into two categories, two camps, or maybe three camps. And I'll use cooking as to make this clear. There's a chicken who's not yet in the pot. There is a chicken who is in the pot, but is not in the oven. There's a chicken who is in the oven, but the oven is not on. There's a chicken who is in the oven is on, but it's not cooked. There's a chicken in the oven is on, and the chicken is cooked. And there is a chicken in the oven is on, the chicken is cooked, but it's burnt. People fall in those categories. There are those who are not interested. Do not talk to them. They are raw, unseasoned. They will only frustrate you. You will talk to those who are interested, but their life is far too busy to keep the interest. Don't talk to those either. Rumi says, I am looking for a chicken that's burnt. And when I find that chicken, I only look at the chicken. I only look at that human being. But there is nothing to be said. He understands my anguish, my sorrow, my brokenness. He knows the limitation of language. پس سخن کوتاه باشد و سلام. When I find someone who is cooked, I will look at them. I will gaze into their eyes or their soul. I will simply nod my head. And that's what namaste in Hinduism means. I look at you, I see the God inside you. I won't talk to you about God. I won't talk to you about Hinduism. I won't talk about 4 ways to be a good Hindu. I simply nod my head and I say namaste. The God in me sees the God in you. Thank you. Goodbye. See you around. That's all. You see the tragedy. You're broken. You go around the world to look for someone who is broken so you can share some words with him. And you do eventually find that person, only to realize you have found your reed bed. You want to just be with them in silence. But should you not find a companion, keep your mouth shut. Don't reveal too much of yourself and your passion and the quest or the path. Do you have any questions or comments before we go our separate ways? Phoebe? I'm sorry? Do I believe in God? I'm trying to respond to your question in a way that is intelligent, if I can use that word. I don't know what God is. And I don't know what it means to believe in God. And I don't know what it means to have faith in a belief in God. All I know is that I have lots of desires inside me. And those desires create within me sometimes a great amount of longing and yearning. And I run to satisfy those desires. And sometimes I am successful. And then I look at what I have obtained. And I realize it's been a waste. You see my hands, Phoebe. I finished the deck. I primed it today. I have nothing else to do. Now I have to find another project. Some people have this desire to believe, to have faith in a thing called God. It's no different than the desire to build a shed, to build a deck. And they pursue their desire very much like mine. They read books about God as I watch YouTubes about how to build a deck. Everybody goes through the same path. On the outside, they look different. But within, they all look the same. The only, I think, the advantage that religious people have, those who believe in God, is that I built a shed last year and I wanted the deck, it's all finished. And now what? If you have a belief or faith in God, your desire, your thirst will never be quenched. And I think it's much better to have a desire that will take a long time to satisfy. Hopefully, maybe not, I don't really know if it's something to hope for, but should you have children in the future, they will harass you to take them to Target so that they could get some toys. It inspires them. And they will have faith in Sonic. They will have faith in Spider-Man and Spider-Woman. They want them, they desire them. And they will play with them for a couple of weeks, if they're lucky. It's more than like 5 minutes. And then once the toy is no longer interesting, or the toy is completely broken, they will harass you some more. I want a different toy now. Imagine when your son gets to be 18 and he says, I want to go to school and get my bachelor's. That's a desire that's going to take about 4 years. It's a good desire. You have to sacrifice a good amount of things to get a bachelor's. And then your son comes home and says, I want to get my master's. It's another good desire to have. 2 years. So I want to do a PhD. Another great desire. 6 years. I want to get married. Oh, that's beautiful. You know, fighting and arguing and shopping with your wife or husband. It's another 5, 6 years. Children. That's a lifetime of pursuit. You're never sitting. There is no idle time. And it depends really about how intimate you are with your belief system. You know, some people have a belief in God, like they believe that ice cream is good for them. It's delicious. Once in a while, it's good. You know, Blaise Pascal, he said something really interesting. He said the Christian church has done something awful to human beings. It has created this psychological narrative where they can go to church, feel good, go back into the world, become filthy, and then say, how can I get rid of this filth? They go back to church, get clean, and go back out there, get dirty. And he says the church has made sinning permissible, cyclical. In other words, the church really has only one function. It's not so much about the belief in God. The church makes you feel good about how shitty you are. And it keeps encouraging you to be shitty. I don't know if I believe in God. All I know is that I like talking about this stuff, reading about this stuff, and writing about this stuff. Whether they're true or not, it matters very little. They make time pass. Any other questions or comments? Not there? Yaning? Lena? I'm sorry? Just give me one. Karen, it's good to see you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, very much.
Tell your very, very, very lesser half I said hello.
I certainly will. Thank you so much.
Live long, healthy, prosperous.
Likewise.
Should you win the lotto, remember me.
I'll come back and find you.
Lena.
I don't think I have any words.
Okay. Okay. Chris? Maybe?
Why do we have philosophy?
Why do we have philosophy? Because life is difficult and it forces you to think. You know, you start with naivete. You go to a coffee shop, you look at a guy, you like him, you fall in love. You're still quite innocent. You trust. You make promises, he makes promises. 2 weeks later, he breaks all the promises and leaves you. For the first time, you realize you have been fallen. You fell. You're in pain. You have no choice but to find a way out of this pain. That's philosophy. It can most definitely hurt you. Everything is a tool. It can be used in a good way. It can be used in a, forget good and bad. It could be used in a way that could benefit you. It could be used in a way that could harm you. And no one knows. No one knows what really harms or benefits. That is something that time will tell. You know, I just walked into a class to just talk about a couple of things. So I get a student who was ready for something, I don't know. The ideas go inside her. She leaves her husband. She leaves her kids. Was it good for her? No. Was it good for me? Yeah. So, Jane? Well, we have this I don't know what you call this, saying, a story. It really comes from the Turkish world. Middle Easterners are very hospitable people. Some of you in this class have been to my office. You've also been to my house. We have a tendency, unfortunately, of giving you the best of what we have. Food, tea, coffee. Even if you're exhausted, we receive you well. Even if you disrespect our culture, our tradition, we'll look the other way, we won't say anything to you. And in the Middle East, we say that whenever we have a guest, we treat them like a king or a queen. We give them the best of the things that we have. But when you stay in their house, you stay like a prisoner or a slave. If I bring you coffee, don't ask for tea. If I bring you tea, don't ask for coffee. If I bring you korma sabzi, don't say you don't like it. Just eat the food and shut your mouth. Don't disrespect me by saying, I don't like this or I don't like that. So that makes you a slave. But when you leave as a poet. You will go to your friends or to your parents and you will say, I went to Amir's house and man, it was my first time meeting him. And yet, he gave me his fridge. I ate and I ate and I ate. And then he gave me all of his shoes. And then he gave me this and he gave me that. I think it's a little crazy. Yes, Middle Easterners and their hospitalities give the impression they're a little crazy. I always try to give my students the best that philosophy or ideas have produced. I don't much care about history, even though it's important. And I've tried to tell you the ideas of religious and philosophical traditions in a way that you can relate to your life. And in that sense, you've been treated with a great amount of respect. I have respected your personal life, tried to relate the ideas to your personal life, not so much because you enjoy wisdom, but you can fix your life however way it may be. But despite being that gracious, I've also made you a slave or a prisoner of this class. Attendance is mandatory. Assignments are mandatory. You can't just open your mouth and talk rubbish. I will shut you down. You have to raise your hand. You have to ask questions that are relevant to the things I talk about and the things I'm interested in. Otherwise, I won't respond to you. You leave now as poets. We're going to leave in a couple of minutes. I don't know what these ideas have done for you and to you. I hope they have given you some perspectives that will benefit you in some shape or form. Only time will tell. But I hope you've enjoyed some of the ideas that I've shared with you. And they are really great ideas. Have a great rest of your summer. Good luck with your schooling. Good luck with your life. Good luck with COVID. If you're single, I hope you find a companion. If you're lonely, I hope you buy a pet. If you're married, I hope it stays, healthy. If you have children, I hope they come out to be relatively okay in this day and age. If I have said anything in the past few weeks that have offended you in some shape or form, grow up. I'm sorry. I apologize. So, thank you. Have a safe drive home. Tell your husbands and wives I said hello. Your parents, children. Stay in touch. You have my email. If you need a letter of recommendation, 5, 10, 15 years from now, if I'm still alive, send it my way. I'm going to steal some letterheads from Laney, and I'll just write some rubbish about you and send it to someone who's going to hire you, and hopefully you'll be hired. Do you have any things to say or? Thank you. Take care. It's good to see all of you.